Welcome back to the North American LCS. There's more games coming right up, but first, I've got Freak with me to update his ADC tier list as we continue to advance through the summer split. Now, some things have changed, some things have stayed the same. Most notably, Sneaky still sitting atop the table.
Right, so just to recap, we're talking about this split. So the first 4 weeks here, didn't look at Friday's games to help kind of entertain this one.
Okay.
And overall, it was hard for me to find a number one because no one is dominating in all categories. But Sneaky was the best all around. He's the leader and player of the games. He's the first in CSD at 15. As far as 5, 10, and 20, he's also like top 4 there as well.
Okay.
Great damage share, great damage per gold. He is doing very well in all categories. Gets the number 1 spot.
All right, so statistically speaking, he's doing well in most categories, and then from the eye test, seems to be supporting his team and stepping
Most player of the game, so he's doing
where
it.
need be. So there you have it. Next up, Cody's son. Let's talk about him as he's at the top of the B tier.
Yeah, I know a lot of people want him to be number 1. I just don't see it, honestly. He's a very good player, obviously. I ranked him as number 4 right here, but the thing is he's got some misgivings. First of all, his laning is average. He's got as many leads as negatives here. It's you know, kind of whatever. He got the most CS at the end of the game. He's been given farm, but he's not doing a ton with it. He's slightly above average damage share-wise. The big telling thing is his laning CS numbers are average, but his gold difference is massive because it's Ole and Xmithy who are ganking the lane, getting him kills, and he's kind of riding the wave, it feels like.
I was going to say, there's also always the problem when you're looking at a player on the number 1 team in a league around how much are they responsible for the wins versus being carried and or benefiting from the rest of the team.
Right, and I think he's good, but I think it's his team doing more of the work.
All right, and then we move on to somebody who would normally be found at the top of the list in Double-It, sitting at the bottom of the B tier, coming back in this summer split, still trying to find his footing.
Right, and even by his own admission, I don't think Double-It thinks he's the best right now either. Now, he's got sick laning stats. He's second only to Apollo. Yes, Apollo's the best laner in NA right now as far as bot lane stats are concerned. Double-It, though, a great laner, but his damage is actually really, really bad. He's somewhat like 7th or 8th in damage share right now, and even in damage share per gold share and damage per gold, it's not all that high either. So he's laning well, but he is not team fighting well right now. It's actually Bjergsen, Hanser, and those guys that are doing the heavy lifting everywhere else. So he's a middle-of-the-pack player as a result.
I mean, we saw yesterday they took a loss to C9, and I guess if Double-It were, you know, back into form, we would see the dominance out of TSM that we might expect. So still waiting for him to fully turn on. Let's move now to Arrow. He has increased in ranking here, but still sits in the C tier for the MVP of last split.
Yeah, and he's still having a middling performance. It's actually the kind of the opposite of Double-It. They're almost the same player, but on opposite sides. Arrow is like the worst laner in League of Legends. It actually got worse with Xpecial. If you look at like the last 3 matches, it's like actually abysmal alongside him.
But he's a team fighting god.
But he's the sickest team fighter, right? He's the second in damage share of all bot laners, second to, I believe it's Piglet. He's first in damage per gold because he's getting no gold and still doing plenty of damage. So. But the thing is, he's getting catastrophically blasted in lane, and that's gonna hurt him a lot because Phoenix One are not winning a lot of games. A lot of that is lack of lane pressure.
I will say it's fascinating to watch him in team fights. He does seem to get the maximum amount of damage out possible while remaining alive. Finally, I want to talk about Laud. He's at the bottom of the table here on Dignitas, which is a team that is in the top half of the standing.
Right, and by contrast, Altec is actually up there in C tier as a more average player.
Right.
Yeah, Laud, and I probably overrated him in the very beginning here when it was the first couple of matches, but Laud is dead last in laning, dead last in damage share, almost dead last in damage per gold. Like, this guy is actually poor in almost every match you can come up with. That said, he's usually dying somewhat infrequently. He's kind of trying to let himself get carried, but he's losing lane and he's not getting much done in team fights. Had a couple player of the game, so he's got some variance. And that's why he was kind of up there before, because he had done some good things early on in the split compared to like Keith and Arrow, who were dumpster fires at the very start. But Laud is just like kind of deplorable everywhere. And
has had some standout performances, but not enough to mask the inconsistencies that we see from him in every other game.
Right, his averages are the worst of the league.
All right, well, that's all we've got in terms of ADC updates for today, but be sure to let us know what you think of Freak's list by tweeting at LOL Esports with the hashtag NALCS. Now for some more League of Legends action, though, let's hand it back to the casters for the games.
Thank you once again, Dash, and welcome back, everyone, to the deciding game in this series. We did Counter Logic Gaming and Cloud9, and as Freak was saying, Sneaky up at that top of his list. Looks like he's holding true to that. Gets player of the game last game, playing quite well on Caitlyn. He was given a bit of tools, but also had to keep himself alive in quite a few of those fights.
I feel like Azael needs to update his tier lists of tier lists, because that was actually a pretty good AD carry tier list there from Freak. I liked his explanations as well. And yeah, Sneaky at the top right there, getting player of the game on the Caitlyn. I do think the Caitlyn had a lot to do with it, feeling like him getting that champion was really big for him to lean on. But the rest of his team did come up very big. Jensen was good. Ray subbing in was fantastic as well on the top lane. Will be playing again in this game. And it might be a repeat of what happened yesterday, where Impact played the first game against TSM, lost, and then the next two, they were able to win it with Ray in the top lane, who's been just such a great team player. Even though he's losing lane, he's finding ways to help his team win the game.
It's sometimes about being able to absorb, make sure that nothing is really happening in that top lane, even though it doesn't feel too good the entire early game for you.
Yeah, one of the things about playing top lane is you have to know when to back up, when to give away resources. This cannon minion wave is so big, but the jungler is here and we're making a play on the bottom side of the map. So you have to be one of the, honestly, one of the least selfish players to be a top laner right now in the way that the game is currently played, because you get punished so much if you're looking for even the slightest bit of a greedy play.
And that is what we have seen that Reaper is, and the rest of the team has worked on with Ray since he's come in. Him and Impact sharing a bit of time and only making each other better. Ken and LeBlanc, Zach and Caitlyn. As it does get the respect this time, it will be the Caitlyn. Maybe we'll even see the Elise too.
Assuming Elise from CounterLogic Gaming, and then assuming Galio at the Rumble. Okay, again, because it's Ray, so Elise will be left up. Maybe a first pick here from CounterLogic Gaming. As Cloud9, I assume ban out the Galio or leave up the Galio and think that it might just get played top. Yep. I think these are going to become the 3 most common red side bans for the rest of this weekend. Of course, Rift Rivals will be on patch 7.13, where there are some Galio nerfs, as well as some Zac nerfs. Hotfix came through. And so Elise would be the assumed first pick here, or Jhin if you don't want to give it over to Sneaky and you think Stixxay will perform better on it. But I don't think they really want that.
Interesting. Taking Braum.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's just such an influential champion here in this game. It's getting banned out a whole bunch as well, picked whenever it's pretty much up. And Cloud9 had picked the Caitlyn in the first round last time, and I mean, CounterLogic Gaming had it, and Cloud9, this is so interesting. I don't think I've seen a team pick their mid laner that early on, that many games in a row, where they had the Orianna for like second round pick.
Season 1 or 2?
Yeah, it's been a long time. It's been a long time, and now they've picked it again for Jensen early on. He just wants to be able to win these matchups, and I understand that they're playing around him and it's a good formula, but he's being very bold because he's saying, I can play this into anything. As Syndra is kind of that top tier mid laner right now that people really want their hands on.
So they take the Braum, now they can get the Ashe easily after that. Good protection for the lane as the Caitlyn is banned out. They also have a way to lock down Jensen if he gets into these fights with an arrow.
Ooh.
And another way to keep him in place could be Dardoch's Rek'Sai if they decide to lock it in. He's been outspoken of how he feels.
Yeah, Rek'Sai, Gragas are the 2 champions that Dardoch's like, yeah, these are really good right now. We'll see if it is the Rek'Sai. This looks like it may be a little bit more early game focus for this jungler, and I love it. I love me some Rek'Sai.
Rek'Sai loves you, Zyrene.
Yeah.
It's mutual.
Hottest League of Legends champion.
All right. That took a turn. 19 seconds on the clock for Cloud9. Jensen, picking now. What are you going to pick? Support? They have the support.
Yeah, I feel like you might even go Tom Kench here.
Yeah.
Because there's a ban, because Braum is actually picked.
And you got the Ashe arrow.
Yep. But, they want Ray to really win that top lane matchup. Looks like it. Oh, switcheroo at the end. Yeah, it was either between the AD carry pick or the Tom Kench in my mind, because you could get pinched a little bit with the Ashe taken away. Could ban Jhin Varus, and then you're kind of down on another champion on the tier list for yourself. So Varus for Sneaky. He does actually play quite a good Varus as well. And we'll see with all this wave clear Cloud9 has, CounterLogic Gaming has in store. But we'll see what happens with this Rek'Sai. I can't wait to talk about Rek'Sai the whole game, Riv.
I am ready. The Aurelion Soul gets banned out. Seeing the Ashe and lock you down composition means we're not going to get him in the game.
And what happened last time? Also having Hawkshot plus Aurelion Soul is so deadly because he can just Hawkshot the jungle, and then you go ahead and you roam to the opposite side if you saw the jungler there, or you roam to that side if you don't see the jungler there.
Fly through the walls to that spot.
Exactly. The Jarvan ban away. Maybe a Renekton ban following this one. From CounterLogic Gaming, we'll see. Possibly, I would assume Cloud9 go for their support pick after this, and then they go for their top laner last pick to just get Ray a counter matchup or something that he's comfortable in, because Darshan does have some things up his sleeve, like we saw with the Jax.
Glad there recently as well. Ari getting banned out. Cloud9 feels confident about that. Quite a bit of discussion there, actually, with Jensen in the mid lane on that last ban. So it was Ray taking his hands to it. And what do you want to play against Jensen? As Reaper discussed with him.
And that's the thing, too, is people give coaches kind of a lot of flack for that draft sucked. It's like they're constantly talking to the players.
Right.
What do you want to play against? What don't you want to play against? And you're always kind of polling the players of, hey, you know, what is a good matchup here? What isn't a good matchup for you? And right now, it just seems like the strategy for CounterLogic Gaming is ban out that top lane. I assume it might be a Tom Kench pick here or a Thresh for Smoothie. If they're thinking they need a little more engage, Bard is also something, but I don't think with the Braum you'd really want to play that.
I like the Thresh with the hook engage. I like the Tom Kench for the Ash Arrow. And the hook engage, also the Lantern works really well here for contracts trying to go in any situations. Always really fun to have an Elise and a Thresh in your composition. They do lock in the Thresh, and they try to throw down the death sentence with that. One last pick for C9, but CLG's final 2 picks.
Yeah, and Cloud9, if you pick a tank here on CounterLogic Gaming side, Cloud9 could play the Fiora into that top lane. Stixay typing in whatever it is they're going to pick here. Shen. Okay. They're looking for some delivery here, and now they have to pick their mid laner. No Ari. Orianna is good, and that's protect Stixay. Give him a lot of protection on that Ashe, alongside the Braum too. Orianna still on the table, like you said. Into Syndra is an all-right matchup. Syndra does kind of beat you really early on.
Yeah.
Then you control her later. If he goes Echo, though, which is... I actually really like this because it's a 1-3-1, and Echo was a classic counter to Syndra, but the Orianna is, once again, protection, so you had options because of the way that the draft had gone.
Almost for a second there, put Echo on the wayside for Huhi. Forgot about that champion for him with his love to roam. That actually fits right into his wheelhouse. But it is the protection, shields around, and a bigger one down in the bot lane for Stixay on that Ashe. What is C9's roundabout pick here? It's going to be the Gnar for Ray.
Yeah.
So really kind of putting him on not a difficult mechanical champion, but working around that ultimate, making sure it's ready, but also basing that off your teleports and how you're going to play the game. A lot of teams can just say, hey, he's ulting, let's back off.
Yeah. And when he's changing forms, you can really just see it, and it's very telegraphed. But the thing that I think is the crucial part here is CounterLogic Gaming built for a little bit of team fight as well as some side lane pressure. But having the Gnar means you kind of win that top lane matchup by default if there isn't any jungle pressure. The Frozen Mallet Black Cleaver build for Gnar is incredibly potent. And so you'll be able to shove the Shen out of lane and have team fight power. Whereas if you picked a Fiora here, not as much team fighting power, definitely a better split pushing power. So we'll see what this Gnar is able to accomplish for Ray. Of course, this is the pre-buff Gnar, where he gets buffed on patch 7.13. This is actually a champion that got banned against Ray yesterday. He's been playing it a ton in solo queue. You know, the word's out there that it's quite good for him.
He loves the engages, much like Jarvan can jump in on that Gnar and get dirty. Darshan back to the Shen, a little tried and true as he puts himself back into one of his wheelhouse champions here. Orianna versus Syndra in the mid lane as Jensen continues to go after that blind pick. And we will have to see engage from both sides, a bit of siege potential from both sides. They're bringing everything to the table with these compositions.
Yeah, a lot of siege, a lot of pick potential, good team fighting from both of them.
Yeah.
But my eye is on, once again, that Rek'Sai early pressure to see what happens. And also these top laners on who gets the advantage. So I thought that was a Dino Gnar onesie for a second.
Well, I'm sure he's happy about the play.
Yeah, but we are into game 3 here between CounterLogic Gaming and C9. And the first match of the split was CLG versus C9.
That it was.
It went to 3 games.
And who it went to?
It went over to CounterLogic Gaming. And that's why C9 started off on the wrong foot.
Absolutely.
People were saying, oh man, looks like, you know, they took a step down. But CounterLogic Gaming had a little bit of momentum coming off of that match. Had a good start to the season.
You'd be like, if this was Rift Rivals, that's a loss. Can't have that one game loss.
And that best of one group stage coming up.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, you don't want that loss, though, as Cloud9 against CLG right before you go over to Rift Rivals. They want redemption for the first match of the split. They have Ray back in, and they're seeing that he's improved and that he can take out Darshan in the top lane and help the team win. Another thing that I want to talk about here is the 4-match win streak for Cloud9. If they win this one, they've beaten TSM, they've beaten CLG, and they've beaten Dignitas all 3 in a row. So they're showing they're one of the top 2 teams heading over to Rift Rivals for sure. The Dino Gnar Chroma, too.
Yeah, having a bit of fun in the top lane to start things off. Pretty much the same start across the board as we go down, except for that sword and the shield. And the minions meeting in lane. It's time to farm. It's time to get in the junglers' heads.
I want to see what happens with the leash here on Dardock's side. Might be a super leash here. Yeah.
Are they starting off on red as well?
They're going to do red buff down.
Yep.
So Dardock will hit level 3 very quickly, kill all the little ones, stack up the passive, deal damage, kite it around so your support doesn't take much. Don't do the big raptor. You go over for the red buff here, get another passive stack, take it out, and then he's going to go for his Krugs here for a very fast start. We'll see what happens. Right now, what Dardock can do is Dardock can kill these. If he does smite them, it makes a very fast route. It's exactly what he did. He might be going for a level 3 gank bottom where they're still level 1. Yeah, that's exactly what he's going for. He's going to try to cheese the bottom lane here with an early push.
Well, they're already hugging towards the top side. This works perfectly. CLG's taking the bot, so C9 will be
over the wall
on the top side. Where is Dardock? It seemed like it was a little delayed coming from him. He wanted to get in a better position. They're going to be able to flash out. This is either a kill and a rinse and repeat. But it's the kill, and maybe they will rinse and repeat. First blood for CLG.
Yeah, and when you do this, your top lane now has to be a little careful. So Darshan has to back off because Elise is coming up there right now. Still gets caught, but Ray trying to just deal some damage. And now the blue buff is what's really kind of on the table here. They'll trade it. Contracts will do the blue buff on CLG's side, and now Dardock will take away the blue buff on the opposite side. Has smite up now. Not going to use it, just going to save it. Not scared at all. He's not scared at all, yeah. Also, repeat gank bottom. I think he should repeat gank bottom after this. There's a blast cone available, and they're shoved underneath the turret. There's a possibility for him to actually go after Sneaky with no summoner spells. It's very risky. We'll see if it's the Dardock style, though.
The Flay, the shield aren't there. A level 1 smoothie just hits level 2. So, yeah, they're going to wait on this one. Oh, okay, that's his ward. I was like, wait, it's warded. Let's see this again. And see his pathing here. The team goes hard.
Yeah, they're still level 1. They're both level 1 on the bottom side of the map here. And this gank comes through. Dardock hit level 3 at 2 minutes, and this gank happens at 2 minutes and 20 seconds. It's such an early gank to happen, and you can't ward for that in every position, because if you ward for that one, then you don't ward for the 3-minute gank that comes through. Yeah, exactly 2 minutes, 10 seconds is when he hits level 3.
You're not even ready for something at that point.
The
Maybe another 40 seconds and your brain starts churning. Hey, okay, ward time.
Yeah, and
what a play.
Speaking of ward timing, he's on top of one right now, just chilling.
It's all right. Hatch it.
He does still have flash though, so Dardock still has ways to force this and heavily force this, but he's on top of a ward. They know he's on top of a ward. There's not much of his jungle left to take though. And Ray, bullying Darshan. He has fervor, so the longer you just let him throw those boomerangs at you, more damage you can take over time.
The first few levels weren't too fun. He had the boomerang and he had his jump, but now he has hyper and he's able to really chunk Darshan down, pushing up the wave ever so slowly as Gnar does.
Looking for the dive because they have Elise. Does hit him there. There's the bounce off his head.
That's close. CC is a little lacking.
Oh,
they hit one. Hyper's going to do some damage, but they can't get in enough.
Yeah.
Darshan pushed off the turret. Ray having a much different game, delivering this now.
Well, they also gave him attention top. Remember that jungle proximity was all towards mid.
Start adding a few more percentage on that.
Exactly. Feel very comfortable going towards that top lane here. So C9 will get something back after that very early gank from Dardock on the bottom side of the map. Dardock hasn't even backed yet. He's actually sitting on 1,400 gold for himself. So that's boots and a bit of a Caulfield's Warhammer as he would work towards that. Looking to clear out his camp before he backs there. Did get that first blood, so we'll see what he ends up getting for himself.
Will feel nice.
Yeah, he
had it in the first game, now in the third.
There it is, Caulfield Warhammer and boots. You want that warrior enchant very early on, and also check for Dardock. Yes, he's doing it. Okay. So this is what I want to talk about with Rek'Sai. Is before with Rek'Sai, you would always max Q first because of the damage versus the E, but now it's actually E max Rek'Sai first. You take Q level 1, then you get W, then you go E, but you max E first. You put your points in your tunnel / true damage bite, because now the AD ratio and you buy warrior enchant, it's a very big burst of damage, and with fervor behind it, the rank it up in it is very good. The incentive is crazy. Whereas the rank up incentive of Q, not very high. It's 5 damage per auto for 3 autos. This also means your tunnel, much lower cooldown.
Instant exhaust, and Sneaky says, go! he will take the lantern off
Dardoch?
Smoothie. Nicely done. Smoothie actually going back into the fight. They have contracts coming back, and I feel like CLG kind of read this one. Ray is so close to actually Gnaring out. This is perfect. He's getting the damage from the turret, though. Gnar's out with very low HP, and they finally pick up the kill onto Dardoch. Things got a little hairy for a second, though.
Yeah, Darshan just now hit 6. If you dive, there is a Stand United, and they know about this. This is all because they ganked the top lane and got Darshan's TP early. So this is a snowball effect, a cascading effect of the TP that was used and the gank from contracts.
We'll see again down on the bot side.
Yeah, this comes through, and this is a reaction here. Aphromoo is trying to hold the wave and also prepping for the gank. The exhaust came out, and it looks like Dardoch didn't get exactly what he wanted there onto Sneaky. And then Aphromoo is the one who really pays for this. The jump from Ray, who's almost transformed, and does a great job there. Aphromoo does survive, but then the hook after the stun picks up Dardoch there. So yeah, one of the things, you're not very tanky early on as this Rek'Sai. It's one of the things you have to watch out for. But the Emax is supposed to circumvent that. If you're not tanky, you have more mobility. Yep. Your tunnel cooldown goes down drastically. Your reuse of the tunnel goes down to 2 seconds at level 9 at rank 5. So it's very, very good to actually put that Emax first.
Nice bit of damage. Jensen and Huhi actually having the quietest mid lane of the series right here in game 3. Farming it up 65 to 63. Finally getting a little intervention from their lane partners.
Yeah, make sure you take out all these boards, the control boards, place your own down and get control of mid and that Drake side. But Dardoch not on the side where his blue buff will be spawning. And we'll see what he does. He's checking the jungle for plants and all that goodness. And once again, top lane, left out to dry Darshan. Oh, there goes the transformation from Ray.
Almost wanted at this point to get some good damage in with the Hyper. He almost gets the third attack onto that, so repeats. Jensen says mid's fine.
Yeah,
it's just going
Jensen's coming top. Jensen's coming top. They're handing off blue here. So Jensen's going to go to the top side. He has to abandon this turret or else Darshan dies.
Do they go for the play and get blue? Or actually just going to walk out of everything
They're
here?
going to get the turret.
Darshan's going to try and stay.
But watch bottom side. Bottom side's doing exactly the same thing. Darshan says, okay, well, Jensen's not actually coming. So they're able to go and pressure, and he's actually able to get something back. Goes to the blast cone, and then he gets him out of there. So Darshan actually does a really good job of holding this.
Interesting scatter here by both teams trying to make a play, but hesitating halfway through.
I feel like Jensen's hesitating too much. Huhi went to the bottom side of the map, and Jensen now wants mid priority. Turret rush, it will go over to Ray though. Gets a big chunk of gold. Much better start for him
First
in
turret.
previous games.
See how C9 works off of this. Usually it's Jensen doing very well in the mid lane. Now with Ray's pressure towards the top, they can just own this side of the jungle, and they do finally get this blue over to Jensen. He had to make sure mid was controlled before that happens. Nice hook. I don't think there's too much follow-up, but CLG may be overstaying their welcome.
Contract's taking that whole bottom side or top side jungle there. Level 7 right now, a bit up over Dardoch. So the Elise also paying off, but they've just traded quadrants of the jungle back and forth here.
Sneaky falling behind a bit here, 90 to 68. There has been a bit of Dardoch pressure that we saw down there as well.
It's kind of those opposite sides of the map where
top side
if
bot.
Contracts is camping the top lane, you have to give up your bottom side of the map. So they play back, they let the CS die to the turret as Darshan does the same thing.
So just pick that CS up on the top.
Exactly. And we just see like even gold because of this, right? Mid laners are pretty even right now. And then the side lanes, you just swap it. One's ahead, the other one isn't. Yeah, that jungle looks like Rek'Sai with just the early kill. Gold advantage there. And that top lane, Ray up pretty much the value of that top turret, the first turret. It's up about 750 for himself.
Maybe a dragon attempt? They're backing completely on a ward. Aphromoo was going to even try to stop one. And they may actually start to converge down onto that dragon.
I think that after that, you could go for the dragon. You could go for a mid lane gank because you have control ward set up. So you could force this really hard. Jensen ran to the other side, runs to his control wards.
Says no.
Yeah.
Too quiet in the mid lane.
Well, Jensen likes to walk up when he clears like this.
Yeah.
So you could put him in a position that is a little bit strange.
cornered Shelly.
I don't know. Spotted though.
Yeah. Hawk shot from all the way on the bottom side of the map. It was a bit, let's say, dry in vision for a bit. People were walking over wards, but they were their own. And there's the Dragon going to be taken down by CLG. Starting things off here. It's also 1-to-1-to-1 across the board. 1 turret for each, 1 kill for each. And we'll see if C9 can pick up a Dragon soon. Oh, they get the Herald. One for kind of one.
You're just trading your strong sides of the map, right?
Right.
Strong side of the map for C9 is the Gnar in the top lane with Ray, and then the strong side for CLG is the bottom side where Dardoch gets to farm.
Nice little duck in.
They're gonna get sneaky though.
Oh, almost pops him up. Nice grab on the lantern.
Did pop him up, and he just got out of it
Yeah.
because of the ordering on it. So got him before the lantern started traveling, as opposed to after. Oh,
Chain. Grom's gonna help, but he says, nah, fair fight, fair fight. And there's the hook. Lays the hitbox lead. Beautifully done by Smoothie, and they pick up Dardoch.
Yeah, and Dardoch doesn't really have too much vision there because of the tremor sense. Look at this, they're just gonna destroy this turret. Blam! Shelly!
Done. Shabah. I was gonna say, do it already. You're taking so long. But wow, pressure here by C9. 12 minutes in, and this is where it gets kind of scary because you don't even have the power to be an inhibitor turret this early. It's pretty dangerous.
Take it out.
They do have the power to absorb all resources. Oh! Troll play. Nicely done, though. Contracts gets himself out as sneaky.
Yeah. It does have to blow his flash, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, look at the control wards and the ward placement from Cloud9, all on that top side, whereas CLG, triple control ward on the bottom side of mid, and they're just trying to make sure that they have control that ranged lane. We'll see here with vision as well. Gets spotted, control ward goes down. Now he can't see Smoothie, so he can't see the hook incoming. That's the big thing.
Neither can we.
Ugh.
The sneaky's going down again.
Yeah, so like it's a lot of the time you can criticize like a Rek'Sai player from spectator and be like, why didn't he flash the hook? It's like he actually cannot see it coming.
Yeah.
Gotta look out for my Rek'Sai players, you know? Who else is gonna defend him?
I feel you. Gotta look out for my Thresh players, man.
Yeah.
Let's go. Taking out the blue buff. Nicely done to be denying this from Jensen. Not that it's going to terribly hurt him, but starting to wave clear here. He may be out of mana a little faster than he wants to be. CLG pushing up now towards the top side. We'll see what Ray can do. Black Cleaver over to somewhat of a build here for Darshan. He's sitting on quite a bit of money. He's got about 1,000 gold, so waiting to buy.
Darshan has the Ninja Tabai, and then
goodbye.
He's TPing back because he thinks he's getting ganked by more people because he doesn't actually have vision of anybody.
You can walk faster than 8 seconds from there, Darshan.
Yeah.
Come on.
It's all right.
I know, I'm kidding. But you can.
Yeah, you're right, though. You're right.
15, coming up on 15 minutes. And that is the TP down for both sides. We'll see what happened here for Sneaky. Oh, 4 hits can be so many hits.
Look at his vision, though, right?
Yeah.
Getting the TP there, think it's okay. Brom's coming in, but then the flash knockup, and then the TP cancel as well. But look at that shockwave onto 2.
Beautifully done. Looking
He
at
gets a Brace
possibly
Seeker?
1,000 damage across both members, and they aren't able to get the follow-up chase. Huhi, however, grabs control of mid. Really the first instance we've seen between Huhi and Jensen, and everybody's there to capitalize for CLG on the mid turret.
Yeah, they want that mid turret away from Jensen, but they aren't going to get it just yet. They don't have their Ashe there.
He's able to regroup with the team as well. They have to respect contracts coming in with the crowd control. And they did not see Ray for a moment. Back to the bot lane is Stixay. You're looking for a cross-map arrow and possible walk-up. And that Stand United is still there for Darshan, which is why he wasn't too worried to use that TPO.
So the Stand United, I mean, we aren't seeing many Stand United proactive plays just yet.
Right,
CLG,
more defensive than it.
Exactly. CLG have a lot of pick potential, but they do need a little bit more items, right? The Gnar is a little stronger than the Shen. The Elise is actually a bit ahead of the Rek'Sai in terms of the power right now, but I think Rek'Sai is still quite good at this point with the level 9 and the 5 ranks in E. But I think that Jensen is definitely at a stronger point right now than the Orianna. And he's up at CS. Hey, look at that. Got him at 15. I mean, Contracts camped a different lane this time.
Yeah, I was pretty unhindered here in the mid side.
And they gave him a lot of control wards. They gave him a ton of control wards. And Contracts finally setting up for mid. And they've taken back this area, so Cloud9 can now play to mid and bot. And that's where you want to play, because a minute 30 on that next Mountain Drake.
CLG have to be careful. Their wards just getting cleared out, and some pretty insane vision by C9 right down the river right now. So anything CLG does has to be power in numbers or very carefully done.
Ooh, Stixay's build here on Ashe. Ashe was the Blade of the Ruined King. You know, Runan's Hurricane builds were becoming so common. Essence Reaver was incredibly common. But Static Shiv just seems to have jumped out to be this gigantic wave clear monster of an item. We're seeing it pretty much all over the place here. It's crazy that he's going for one of those solid crit builds with Static Shiv being his first completed item. Not Runan's Hurricane for the slows on everybody. Nothing like that.
It always feels good to be able to feel the steroid right away. Yeah, Blade of the Ruined King gives you a nice attack speed, but you get that burst. You also have your Warlords to burst as well. Everything can get you in for that confident shot if it needs to be the kill one, or to keep kiting it out. Stixay back down to the bot side. Looks like he's not going to be kiting out too much right now. If anything, again, initiating with that Ashe arrow. And CLG is ready to kind of absorb whatever C9's ready for. Looking for a shockwave if C9
Arrow,
bunch up.
arrow.
There's a shockwave coming in if they can nail it. A flash away from the rest of the members, and that leaves Smoothie by himself, and he gets spun up in the blender. Goes down fast. Dragon coming up in 10.
And that's why it's so important to control this choke here. You see all of those control wards. You can't see that arrow coming until it's too late, and they were all up against that right-hand wall and weren't able to dodge in the way that they would like to. They'd have to both flash, because if Smoothie flashes, looks like Contracts doesn't have his up until just now, so he would have eaten the arrow instead.
What a night and day difference when either of these teams has early game control. C9 with just about every dragon on the map. Last time, once they had early game, CLG able to kind of put that into play now. Dardoch again with an early game and the team having it just about across the map. This time, Ray, however, is doing better, so we still have to watch him.
Yeah, gave him a good pick in the top lane in terms of matchup, gave him some attention. And right there, what C9 was trying to do was push mid with Jensen and get mid priority with the rest of the team, and also push top. But the Ashe arrow was critical and absolutely necessary for them on Counter Logic Gaming side to avoid having the mid lane pushed in and get the Drake for themselves. Otherwise, it would have been a dance where your mid lane turret's getting damaged, you're in the Drake hit area, your control wards would have been cleared out. So they prevented that by the arrow from Stixay, or from Stixay.
Sneaky Stixay.
Yeah, there's two Dars in this game.
Two Dars, two Sticks.
Both teams start with C.
Y.
It's like CL, Cloud9, Cloud9.
Got it. This is the brain test game.
Yeah.
As we go to 3. Also for the players. It hasn't been the toughest games, but that means they haven't had a lot of time to recoup off what's happening. Very kind of fast wins for each team as they've come through. And on to the next one. Who has the better comps? Who has the better strategies? And right now, CLG, almost did it again. CLG starts to put theirs to work 20 minutes in here.
Yeah.
Still looking at even goals.
Exactly. It's very close, but those two Mountain Drakes give so much Baron potential to Counter Logic Gaming. A lot of gold sitting there for Dardoch, sitting on 1,400. Got himself a Hex Drinker as well, so they're really fearing the magic damage here from Cloud9. And it's understandable, to be honest, because the Gnar Hyper does magic damage.
Yep.
It does percent HP magic damage. Jensen does magic damage. Contracts does magic damage. Sneaky also does percent HP magic damage. So the Spectre's Cowl, first item buy for Darshan, would normally be a head scratcher, but it makes complete sense here. Followed up with the Sunfire Cape after Ninja top eye. Tabby top eye? I never know how to say that.
I say Tabby.
I gotta go look that up.
Like they have good pressure. Teleports up on both sides, but that's double pressure for Darshan. And in that full Gnar mode, he can't really go off with any of those TPs. Could be stopped out by Ray, but the team looks like they say, hold off. No, it is the offensive stand unite.
There's the
not
R.
the defensive one. After repel, no Kai to the face for Smoothie as he Raptor death sentence himself to safety. And that's a bot lane for Ray now.
Yeah, that was two summoner spells from C9 to try and escape, but it was perfectly executed to make sure nothing happened there. But now CLG, they're going to look at the Baron. They have two Mountain Drakes. You got to be careful. Ray's TPing, and he's transformed. Ray might be the decider here as they all funnel into him.
Oh my god, jump. Looks like he's going to stay back. He wants that full hit. The first jump isn't going to be the one that allows him to slam a wall against the wall, but Contracts and Ray look like they want to route CLG to the left side. And with Baron still being up, it's going to take a while to back here. Good teleport by Ray to fizzle out the entire scenario.
But this is mid-priority now for C9. They're going to get that Scuttle Crab. They're not going to push that top turret from CLG's side. They want to reset, and they'll lose their mid lane turret here. So that's a positive play for Cloud9.
Also, Ray had just picked up bot side, so
Yeah.
a little bit of influx in gold here for Cloud9 to go ahead and back with. Near 1,500 gold for 4 members. Smoothie's the only one without that much.
Yeah, so now everybody's backed, purchased for CLG. Question is, what do they do with this? Is this a power play where they try to reclaim vision? Look at that, though. Caught out.
Oh, my word. They are just stocking the coffers.
Contracts.
Very, very low. Repel's already up. Shockwave goes down. He picks himself up one with the help of their top lane. Darshan's feeling good about that as he might go back in on Jensen. Low mana. Scatter the weak. Gets himself into a position that now C9 can turn back onto. This is way too scattered. They left on the backside. Ray pulls off after getting one hyper, and the arrow starts to lock down more members of Cloud9 as they lose Sneaky in the fight.
And CLG, they're just going to go for some vision control here. I don't think they start this up. They don't really have lifesteal on Stixxay. He'll take so much damage. You don't want to be in that pit. They're looking for a bait, and they're just trying to get that vision and get out. They're trying to just reset the Baron. They don't have vision. They're like, how crazy are they? And Dardoch with that low cooldown on the E has a way to get in. He's able to go through. There's another one on Jensen. Knows he can't get him away.
I was going to say, this is one of those scenarios. You throw a hook over the wall even to check. Dardoch's over. Kuki's with him. Alphamu's with him with the Braum. And Darshan can even get over the wall. He's already on to Ray, forcing him to gnaw out, but he can't do anything other than try and defend himself.
Lantern!
As they start to get under the turret, he may not be able to, but Smoothie's there to save the day as C9 is running scattered now.
Yeah, C9, they have the turret advantage 4-1, and they've been playing the macro game pretty well, but right there,
wow.
CLG just playing the skirmishes better in the numbers advantage. This looks like they're going to start it up, and they're getting the Shen TP as well to come in. Contracts is going to have to steal this if they want to stay in this game here and have it even footing. Misses the taunt. 2k HP, you can't go in there like that. He doesn't have flash either.
Darshan's like, what? Let's go right here. 3v1. The team's able to get Baron. Even if he does go down, they still have so much control. Smiles on Dardoch's face there as we see this play again.
Aphromoo was baiting. You walk towards the bush, you don't have vision of it, back up. Exactly what he did, but Dardoch was coming in from the backside. Looked for the knock up there and wasn't quite able to get it.
They used everything on Aphro too.
They used a lot on him. That was the Syndra ulti too.
Yeah.
And then Darshan walks back up. He actually doesn't have taunt up just yet, but then Dardoch goes out. Darshan comes in as they all collapse as the arrow comes down too. And just really beautifully played, but look at that. No, almost no damage on it.
It's almost healing him, it looked like, but that's impossible. Sneaky gets out to the bot side. Arrow misses just to the right of Jensen. But again, ults are up, ults are used. This game is highly volatile, and C9 is trying to play CLG's game right now.
Yeah. Right now, CLG, trying to run around the map. And they get themselves that Drake.
Wow.
Yeah, C9 actually still have a gold advantage. This Baron's going to have to get CLG back up to even. They do have turrets to take, though, but that's why you see when nobody's in these lanes, Baron buffing them up, they're going to try to clear them out as fast as possible.
Frozen Mallet Cleaver now finished for Ray. He's going to be that side lane menace, or even in these long, extended team fights that are seeing it go back and forth through the lane. That guy's the one that comes out on top when you can't get to the position you need to. Also having a great laning phase for himself at 207 to 168. We did see C9 put pressure towards the top side of the map this time around in Game 3.
Yeah. I'm liking Dardoch's buys here as well. HP for himself towards that Black Cleaver with the Phage. We got a Hex Drinker, and he got the Merc Treads. So that's actually a really good boot buy here because there's so much CC on the enemy team and a lot of magic damage too. So you get to over-index on that item, or over-index on that resistance, and you're actually in a really good spot as long as you have some HP to back it up. Because it looks like he's going for a full Maw here to just deal more damage with his E.
Right? Obviously giving up the outer tier, no reason to try and guard that at this point in the game. Top lane pushed by Ray.
Exactly looking for a knockup.
Oh, and 2-minute shockwave, Sneaky and Jensen! Did I blink? Because they're gone. 8-3 here as CLG does not hesitate. Just trying to stop what they can. Smoothie with the hook, but he's forced to flash away, and Counter Logic Gaming put their foot down and are inside C9 space.
Yeah, Ray actually backed up too, because this could be the end of the game. 25 minutes, there's 25 seconds on Jensen. Sneaky, 20 seconds on him. Aphromoo blocking to try to get turret damage.
In the front side, Aphromoo gets locked in. Dardoch and Darshan now being very careful next to the turret. Aphromoo a sliver of health, and Ray is looking for that with a boomerang, almost gets the kill. Aphromoo 2 close to death. They might have to leave. Stixxay by himself on the front. Very close to crowd control for the team. But you just see how much confidence they have in these plays. And now the ability to leave with that method to the madness. They're doing very well.
Yeah, after they took that tier 1 turret, they were at 41.1k gold, and it was dead even. Jump out to a 3,000 gold lead after taking 3 more turrets. The tier 2, the inhib, and a Nexus turret on top of that. CLG make a huge power play.
C9 may still be looking for these fights, but they are going to need that vision back first. They have the Syndra Elise pick potential. A bit of damage from Sneaky, but Sneaky and Jensen have been going down either opposite or together in these fights very fast, and the damage is nowhere to be found.
And that was great from Dardoch. Now, ever since the change to Rek'Sai and the rework to her,
right.
Her W actually knocks up the person closest to her center, and then knocks everybody else back slightly, and so you don't get those same, multi-man knockups that you did before. But the fact that he was on top of so many people, the knock back has a mini stun to it, and the shockwave was so fast on top of him that was a perfect delivery from Dardoch there on the Rek'Sai.
Was that Ahri that C9 focused within Champion Select? Much deliberation with Jensen was banned out with the Hu-He goes to, or the Hu-He goes to Orianna. The Orianna goes to Hu-He. And it continues to play very well on it. 3-0-3 and just up a little bit in CS, which doesn't have much of an effect at this point. Top side for CLG, 2 Mountain Drakes, and this is where we see those come into play as they have been dropping these turrets.
There's been a lot of criticism about Cloud9 ever since their start, where, CounterLogic Gaming did beat them in a 3-game series.
Yep.
You're heading over to Rift Rivals, people saying, all right, we send in our top teams. CounterLogic Gaming saying, no, we're not going. And they're trying to make sure that that kind of still resonates and still happens where people are saying that, because Cloud9, they beat TSM yesterday. They haven't beat CLG at all this split.
CLG can have that effect with teams. They obviously weren't able to do it this season, but were the team to beat Immortals when they had their huge win streak. Here it seems like they have Cloud9's number this season.
Looking to force TP on the backside. Ray has transformed. He's right in the thick of things, but nope.
Yeah.
It's a cancel. He's going to split push. This is big because now you make a 5v4 play on the top side.
That was his potential to just gnaw out and be there at the right time, but they realized, no, the engage still isn't there even off of Gnar play. Or the Mega Gnar, I should say. And continues to clear. He does have another wave piling in.
He's a big wave. You have to stop the engage, and you have to watch for Ash Arrow, which is down. And you have to wave clear as much as you can, but Jensen's not there.
Keeping my eyes on Jensen, also watching Dardoch, how far he goes through. Darshan just missing on the edge. Expect him to get the ball and possibly a shockwave to come through. He goes down immediately.
Stop the backs. Chase them a little bit here if you're Cloud9.
This is huge for Ray on the other side.
Stop them from backing and stopping Ray. He'll be able to get an inhibitor here, but yeah, he's just gonna get that turret for now. Transforms.
Oh, attacking a little bit.
Yeah, they aren't able to actually keep track of him completely. Baron in 1 minute, so what he's done is a lot of damage to this to make sure that they have to kind of take the maintenance time on this bottom side of the map.
Ooh, it was kind of a end call play. We can make it and take it. But actually broke CLG there as they hit the base.
It's a 2.5k gold difference. Difference now is CLG can do Baron faster. They can do the next Drake faster. And there's 20 or 30 seconds now on both those objectives. So it's very close. But C9 have inside track on the setup and the pick potential on that top side. They do have to take care of super minion waves though.
They are recognizing this lockdown. Mikhail's Crucible, a first smoothie in this game after he gets his Sightstone built up. So he is looking to protect as much as possible with shields, his hooks, and that Mikhail's.
And we have an Energizer build completely for Stixxay, so something I haven't really seen on Ashe, but I think this build is just in general super powerful. Dardoch has flash up again, so he can do exactly what he did to get them that last play.
Nicely done with the Hawk shot. 3 members of C9 scene. Jensen was out, and so was Ray, but they'll find him in the mid lane. Now minions, Arrow misses.
Red team's inhibitors respawning soon.
And that, I believe, is that mid inhib that'll be coming back up in just a moment here for C9.
Right, they just pinged.
And they'd only have to take care of that top inhib, which is very close to where Baron is.
There's also that ward placed down. I don't know if teleport's going to be up in time, but if they do have a great fight and he can teleport down to this inhibitor on the bot side of CLG, they could do some serious damage.
I think they're just out of range of each other in terms of time, but look at that.
Yeah, you're right.
Ray on Darshan.
The wet noodle beginnings.
We can't funnel here. They're both on top again.
What a shockwave. Sneaky and Jensen once again. They are finding their mark, and Darshan goes in with a taunt. Even flayed out, they have the damage. Smoothie's gonna get dropped. His contract falls down. The itsy bitsy spider does not have long for this world. And he is the last one left and running as CLG head for the base of Cloud9.
They're gonna end it right now. They're gonna say, nope. Let's turn around what happened last week. Let's not lose to one of those top teams. And they're going to end the win streak here of Cloud9.
Absolutely amazing. Time after time, finding Sneaky and Jensen in a perfect shockwave with the help of Darshan or Dardoch.
Yeah.
And this composition synergizing beautifully for CounterLogic Gaming. They will go up against Cloud9 again, and they will take a second victory over Cloud9.
That'll give them the 2-0 head-to-head over Cloud9. And CLG, you gotta be happy about that one. As soon as Sneaky and Jensen step on each other at all, Dardoch was there two times in a row, delivering the ball.
That positioning as well, usually it changes. You see the tendency in what they're looking for. All right, let's stay apart. If that was a Malphite comp, you definitely wouldn't be grouping up. But they put all of their damage, all of the eggs in one basket each time. And he said, here's the basket.
Yep, delivered it. Made sure that it was kosher as well. And that was a performance from CLG where it got close. They were winning in kills, down in structures. The split push from Ray could have been really good there for the team, but it just ended up being more and more engages. They have to avoid the Ash Arrow. They have to avoid a very frequent Rek'Sai tunnel into a flash knockup, and then the Orianna ball was there. So huge props to CLG. They dropped to Immortals last week. They went to 3 games versus Envy, said we need to fix some things. Went to 3 games here, but it was a hard-fought series between the two teams. And CLG, though, did come up with the victory.
Absolutely amazing. I always think of shockwaves like that, and you kind of try to calculate how much actual damage came through. If you're doing, say, just 500 and you hit 3 people, maybe you hit a tank, but that's near 1,500 damage in a single ability.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think about, too. Huhi, most damage in this entire game. Second highest was Ray with the split push.
Crazy.
But really, Dardoch third highest on this Rek'Sai, which doesn't always get that off, right? And you're able to actually build a lot more damage, get a lot of that damage off. But I gotta say, props to Huhi here, because Huhi, like we had said, really kind of coming into his own. We were talking about Jensen in the earlier games being one of those top 2 mid laners, gigantic CS advantages for himself. Well, Huhi is this kind of quintessential mid lane team player, but he's learned a little bit more about how to be selfish, how to take those resources for himself, and we're seeing those team fights work out for CLG.
Gelling and flowing much better, if you will. Coming up
That's
strong.
my favorite moment between you two.
So looking at how this played out, though, we see a game for Huhi, a game for Jensen, but still that proximity for Jensen is much higher. He was getting a lot of help. Game 3, there was nothing in the mid lane. Everything had changed. It was top and bottom. It was contracts top, and we had Dardoch bottom. And when Huhi was able to just go even with that, we saw an explosion from him.
Yeah, and the difference is when you have that mix match in the lanes, it means the top lane split push is stronger for C9, but CLG, their 4-man unit of grouping up, is stronger. They have the Ash Arrow, they have ways to engage, and when they engage a 4-on-4 and there's more gold on your AD carry, then you're most likely going to win that fight. So that's really what kind of decided it, was they were able to engage, keep pressuring in Jensen, and then they were able to continue the fights afterwards.
And one of my favorite things about this match was, in kind of each one of the games, it was alt on cooldown. Like each time going in for the fight, the batting order comes back, and we saw C9 take that one fight with, I think, near 2,000 gold, and then they stayed and took it again. So it was like everybody wanted to keep fighting. It was an awesome game to watch. But for more on that CLG win, let's check in with Jat and the victorious bot laner.
Thank you very much, Riven. Yes, I'm here with Stixay, who just took down C9 2-1. The series was a little bit back and forth. How do you feel like you played in that series?
I mean, I feel like I played pretty damn well. So, I mean, I only had 1 death throughout the whole series, and it was a complete, obvious mistake for me. So, and I think also my team played really well too. So it's not just me. But.
Yeah, and you guys bounced back a little bit from last week. I remember you guys struggled against Immortals last week. Some people were tweeting afterwards that you didn't even play the game. How did you kind of work on that or recover from last week?
Man, last week was just really rough for us in general, and yeah, I don't know. We kind of, I would say we have good days, we have bad days. So, and last week versus Immortals, we just kind of had a bad day on stage, and it was just holy shit, we're not doing anything that we normally would do. So we had to really talk about that and just kind of go back and talk about all the fundamentals and stuff that we weren't doing, that we just randomly drop off at times, and kind of figure out why we do that and obviously how to fix it. So
It's interesting to hear that you have good stage days and bad stage days. As such an experienced team, have you been able to identify a little bit of how to control that so you have fewer bad days and you're more consistent?
yeah, I think a lot of it comes down to just our mentalities in general. It's not just on stage. I mean, we have bad days in scrims too, and it's just like, I mean, we kind of have to talk a lot about how, you know, we had to talk about how like teamwork and what we define as a good team, like the values in a good team and stuff like that. So yeah, we had to talk about that a lot and figure out that, and so we can trust each other a lot more. Just stuff like that makes us inconsistent. So
Awesome. And this moves you guys to 7-2, just as many wins as Immortals would have at 7-2 as well. Got to ask you, with Rift Rivals coming up, C9, TSM, and Phoenix One heading there, is NA's best team going to Rift Rivals?
Yeah, I think TSM is probably the best team in NA right now. Even though they're not number 1 in the standings, I think, or I don't know if they are, but I think they're definitely probably the best team. And C9's also a really good team. P1, they're looking better, but yeah, I think NA is sending pretty good teams. So.
All right, thank you for the answer. Opportunity to trash talk. He decided to pass it up. Class Act 6A. Congratulations once again on the win, and we're sending it back to the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, Jat. Class Act 6A also in that conversation for best bot laner in NA. And hey, putting the victory together here against Cloud9 is one way to make a statement in terms of returning to form. And I love that interview in the way that Jat talks about them being a veteran squad, lots of experience, and how they control their emotions and their mentality on stage to find consistency, as that's something that every League of Legends team struggles to find.
Especially when you look at who they've been playing recently. I mean, we've seen, you know, C9 beat TSM, TSM beats Immortals, now CLG beats C9. It's kind of all over the place between these top teams, and you can't just be like, oh man, what went wrong with CLG? It's like, well, they played a good team today, and they struggled a little bit. It makes sense.
Right, both teams made plenty of mistakes. Both teams made plenty of good moves, and I think, again, it speaks to the parity in the league that we saw in the spring split. Sure, it has a slightly different look in terms of standings have shifted, but we still have some element of parity here in the summer split, with many of our top teams playing a high-level game and taking wins off of each other. We're seeing a lot of 3-game series as well, right? They're not necessarily easy 2-0s every single time. Within this game itself, though, CLG, we got to talk about the way that they were setting up their team fights. I think where they show a lot of their poise is in their ability to patiently wait for their opportunity to find the engage that they want. We see the first one come 22 minutes into the game. 2 for 1 in favor of CLG here.
Well, it looks like, not quite sure. This is a bot lane replay.
This is
a Huhi Aurelion Soul Roam from game 1. I believe.
Nice! That's all right. I was going to say, I was like, this isn't the replay we're looking for, but but it still shows CLG dominance. So hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I mean, here we get to see some more Space Dragon in case you forgot that Huhi's pretty good on it.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah. Anyways, just to talk a little bit about this game, unlike that game, which had the crazy Huhi, you know, Aurelion Soul, and then they have a split pusher up on the top side with Kled, both teams actually returned to kind of a standard game.
Here's the fight we were looking for.
This is the one we're looking for. Standard overall, this time Darshan on Shen. C9 picked this fight, and they blow a lot of stuff to get Aphor move. And they actually probably could have won this fight a little bit more, but Ray misplot just a little bit. And CLG get the cleanup kill. It looks like a 1-for-1. Stixay coming in on the flank is getting chased down by the Gnar. And
see Ray arriving now.
Yeah, right as Ray jumps in, gets able in range on Stixay because of that stun. And he's chunking him out, but it looks like there's a retreat call potentially out of C9. And he backs off here instead of going in. And it allows C9, or CLG, excuse me, with the better coordination to find one extra cleanup kill. And then once it's a 4v3 and Stixay's healthy, chases up all the way to the top side, and eventually they fall back to that Baron. That's kind of where they started winning the game.
Right, so it's only a 2-for-1, so you got a kill advantage, but being able to chase them out, get that Baron pickup on the back end of it, then they can push down the mid lane, find a couple more fights. We're going to jump to the final replay, though, because it is a really good example of that patience and poise from this squad in terms of setting up for the ball delivery. Dardoch and Huhi, they showed a really good amount of synergy in this game.
And I wouldn't say Huhi's the best, you know, Orion in the league. Right. And that's Jensen, I think, hands down. But I think the way CLG works with it is it's probably the best in the league. We saw the Rakan combos at the start of the split. This time with the Rek'Sai knockups. Flash Rek'Sai knockup all against Varus and Syndra. This is one of the reasons people don't necessarily love Syndra despite her early game dominance, is in late game team fights, she is very susceptible to flash engages like that. Basically, 2 immobile carries clumped up on top of each other very easy, and CLG, as soon as they see that and they know they're in range, they pull the trigger and they win the fight.
Absolutely. That was only one of many examples where they comboed up together, the Rek'Sai with the Orianna, and so it's great to see, again, that out of those two players. Dardoch picking up player of the game this time around. He had that nice level 3 jungle path that we've seen a lot of people do. I mean, there's been lots of innovative jungle routes so far this summer split, but the early level 3 off of the Krug, not even finishing the camp, getting that gank off into the bot lane, early lead for his laners, and then again, that comboing and synergy for the team fights later on.
Overall, looking like he's synergizing very well with CLG. There's, of course, the question of, how is he going to do when they start struggling a little bit? They have lost a couple series. Sometimes they don't look great, and the fact that the team is, sticking together and still has a really good mentality speaks to the fact that he's obviously synergizing better than we've seen him with any of his previous teams.
Exactly, and even better than he was with CLG at the beginning of the split, right? In those early weeks, we were still seeing a lot of the classic Dardoch moments where the team has a lead, Dardoch then overextends or plays too aggressive and hands some kills back to the opposing team, extending the length of the game. This time around, knowing his limits, waiting with the team as much as they need to for that right opportunity, and then pulling the trigger and finding success because of it. Overall, 2-1 victory for CLG here, moves them to 7-2. They're now tied up there at the top of the table coming through this weekend. We've got more league action coming your way with Echo Fox versus Liquid in match 2, so stick around after the highlights for some Rift Rivals hype and history.
C9 will be
Over the wall?
on the top side. Where is Dardoch? It seemed like it was a little delayed coming from him. He wanted to get in a better position. They're going to be able to flash out. This is either a kill and a rinse and repeat.
Heal up, send in the mana, he's out of Mega.
Yo, help me.
Yo, play together, you can turn. Guys, come on.
Help me.
Bears.
No.
Bears dead, nice. Take it slow, send in the mana.
If I get ball on me.
Okay.
Hey, ball?
No.
Yo, look. Yo,
Right there, let's get it, boys.
Oh my God.
Nice. They're both on top again.
What a shockwave. Sneaky and Jensen once again. They are finding their mark, and Darshan goes in with a taunt. Even played out, they have the damage. Smoothie's going to get dropped. His contract falls down. Counterlogic Gaming, they will go up against Cloud9 again, and they will take a second victory.
This could be the final push for representing North America, saying it's more than just NA versus EU, it's NA versus the world.
The North American-European rivalry has always been exciting to me.
I think it's a rivalry people are really passionate about.
The rivalry to the fans is everything.
It's almost the most important matches.
It's kind of the very beginning of the super competitive League of Legends experience for me. At first, I was playing in beta, and there was literally only a North American server, and you're just playing with, the super old names that people remember: Big Fat GG, Hotshot, Reginald, Chowster. When the European server opened up, at first, there's no possibility of us ever playing each other. So it was all words, and that was all we do is just like, you guys suck. Your weird meta over there is garbage. Well, we would smash you. Then it all started to really build up around the first international tournament, the first real big international tournament that was going to take place, which was WCG in 2010. We ended up doing it though, and we did beat Europe.
And ever since then, there's been high-profile matches.
Back at DreamHack, Jönköping, Sweden, so many years ago, where it was kind of EU's turf, and we had to beat them. We just couldn't find the way to do it.
Once the international stage really blew up, and I think most people credit around 2013.
Fnatic against Cloud9 in the quarterfinals of the 2013 World Championship.
And they had a really, really awesome match in the quarterfinals of Worlds.
Equalizer comes down, pushing, trying to put as much work as he can in, but he just can't fight down Cloud9. He's putting the rockets out, but it doesn't matter. The rest of his team have dropped like flies. It's going to be the third inhibitor of the game, going to Cloud9.
Another one where NA, unlucky, lost to Europe.
Fnatic are going to go through to the semi-finals, taking down the North American champions, Cloud9.
As far as international competitions, where North America and Europe meet up nowadays, it's actually fairly close.
Counterlogic Gaming representing North America, saying it's more than just NA versus EU, it's NA versus the world.
Even though it feels like North America tends to do well against the European teams, over the last several years, North America's got a winning records in games and matches. Europe almost always tends to go farther.
NA has won a lot of the meaningless games, and EU has won a lot of the meaningful games.
The confidence is there, Bjergsen's caught up, he's
He's down! The Burger King is down! Wild Turtle follows immediately after. G2 Esports have killed Team Solo Mid.
This year, G2 and TSM were 1-1. But G2 made it to the semifinals and NA didn't. So you can still think, I mean, just based on a game score, NA's been, what, 7-1 against Europe in the past 2 years of international competition? But EU still trashes on NA all the time because, honestly, they've gone farther, and that's their argument for being better. So you can really argue this all day.
This is a tournament only for North America versus Europe, and it all comes down to who's going to get these bragging rights.
Here we get a definitive winner, NA or EU. It's on the Rift. They are rivals, and we're going to come out with a victory.